Okay, I want you to try a little experiment with me. Just for a second, picture a powerful person. I mean, unless you're driving, in which case, please keep your eyes on the road. But if you can, just visualize power. What's the first thing that pops into your head? I'm willing to bet it's someone commanding a room, right? Maybe they're loud, charismatic, barking orders into a phone. They're the center of gravity. We have this deep cultural script that power equals domination. It's about force.
It's the loudest voice theory of power.
Yeah.
And sure, it's effective for getting attention, but it must be exhausting to maintain. And honestly, it's brittle.
Brittle is such a good word for it, because today we're going to completely flip that script.
Right.
What if real power, the kind that actually sustains you, that doesn't burn you out, is actually quiet? What if it's not about controlling others at all?
Well, that is the central thesis of the source we're covering today. We're doing a deep dive into the sovereign soul, a guide to reclaiming your power. And I have to say, it's unique. It sits right at the intersection of psychology, self-help, and here's the curveball, witchcraft.
I'll admit, when I first saw witchcraft in the notes, I paused for a second. I thought, okay, are we casting spells? Is this crystals and cauldrons? Because, we usually stick to the hard data here. But as I read it, I realized the magic it's not Harry Potter. It's a really profound framework for psychology. It's about agency.
Precisely. Whether you buy into the spiritual side or not, the psychological principles are rock solid. The text just uses magic as a metaphor for how we influence our own minds, our own environments. So our mission today is to walk through this guide to reclaiming power. The source frames it as a really personal act of healing.
And I love how it defines power so specifically. It says true power is rooted in self-trust, in boundaries and presence. It explicitly states, power is not loud, power is not cruel, power is not taken from others.
Which is a release, isn't it? Because that power over model dominating others requires you to be constantly vigilant, constantly defending your turf. The power within model that the sovereign soul talks about is self-sustaining. It doesn't need an audience.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The source starts with a really interesting idea about how we lose power in the first place. Because I think most of us feel powerless, not because we consciously gave it away, but because it feels like it was taken.
Right. And the text calls this the leak. The distinction is so important. We tend to think of losing power as this one big traumatic event, a breakup, getting fired, a crisis. And it can be that, of course. But the source argues that for most of us, it's not an explosion. It's a slow drain.
It's like the difference between a tire blowout and a slow leak. You don't notice the slow leak until one day you're driving on the rim and wondering why the ride is so bumpy.
Exactly. It's given away in little pieces, day after day. The source lists some really specific and frankly uncomfortable examples. One that really hit me was silencing yourself to avoid conflict.
Oh, that is the classic meeting room scenario. You have an idea, you see a flaw in the plan, but you look around and you just think, ugh, not worth the fight today.
But isn't that just being, diplomatic? A team player. That's the trap. I mean, once or twice. Maybe that's just picking your battles. But the source argues that when it becomes a pattern, when you constantly prioritize someone else's comfort over your own truth, you're leaking sovereignty. You're literally training your brain that your perspective is secondary, that your voice doesn't matter.
Wow, that's a heavy realization. You're training yourself into submission. Okay, another one they mention is doubting your intuition. This is when you get that gut feeling, that little red flag, and you immediately talk yourself out of it. Oh, I'm just being paranoid.
The source calls that a direct forfeiture of power. You're taking your own internal data, which is often highly accurate, by the way. It's subconscious pattern recognition, and you're just discarding it because it's inconvenient. You're choosing social lubrication over your own wisdom.
So why do we do that? It seems so counterintuitive. My gut says danger, but my brain says be polite.
Well, the source makes a really good point about societal conditioning. We are rewarded for compliance. Think about school, about your first jobs. Being good means being easy, accommodating, low maintenance.
Yeah.
And the text notes this is especially true for women, for neurodivergent people, and for spiritual seekers.
Right. If you're raised to be a good girl, internalizing shame becomes a reflex. The source even says that trauma teaches us survival instead of sovereignty.
That is a key distinction. Survival is reading the room to stay safe. It's hypervigilance. It's what does this person need me to be so they don't get angry. Sovereignty is reading yourself to stay true. It's what do I need right now?
So it's shifting your gaze from outward to inward. But the point of this first segment isn't to beat yourself up for it, right? I'm already listing 10 times I did this last week.
No, not at all.
Oh.
Please don't. The source is very clear. Reclaiming power begins with recognizing where it leaked away. without blame or judgment. You have to see the leak to patch it. Shame just makes more leaks.
Okay, so we've identified the leak. We see it happening. How do we fix it? This gets us to what I think is the most encouraging part of the whole text. The big aha moment for me was this idea of remembering versus becoming.
This is where it really diverges from a lot of standard self-help.
Hmm.
And frankly, it's where it saves you a lot of money.
Right. We're always sold this idea that self-improvement is it's additive, become a new you, upgrade your operating system. It's all about adding something you lack, like you're a fixer-upper.
Which implies you're currently broken, insufficient. This source flips that completely.
That
Says you don't need to earn power. You don't need to become someone new. You were born with it. Reclaiming it is an act of remembering.
Remembering who you were before the world told you to shrink. That is such a powerful reframe. It takes all the pressure off. I don't have to go build a new personality. It's just in the basement somewhere, covered in dust.
And it connects this right back to that idea of magic. The source says, magic teaches us that intention matters, that energy responds, and that we are not passive beings. We are participants. So when you look at it that way, remembering isn't just nostalgia. It's an active recall of your own agency.
It shifts you from passenger to driver, or, to use their terms, from a bystander to a practitioner. So let's get into the how-to. The source gives 5 specific steps. Step 1 is reconnecting with the inner voice.
And this directly addresses that doubting your intuition leak we were just talking about. The source argues that your intuition is this huge source of power, but because we've dismissed it so often, basically gaslit ourselves, it's gone quiet. But notice it says quiet, not gone.
Key difference, it's still there, just whispering. The guide gives some really practical tools here, like journaling without censorship.
That without censorship part is so vital. And it's really hard. How often do we write or even think while editing for some imaginary audience? Would they think I'm crazy? Am I being me?
Oh, constantly. I think even when I'm totally alone, I'm performing. I'll write something down and then scribble it out because it sounds petty or something.
Exactly. So to reconnect, you have to let the raw data come out. The ugly thoughts, the irrational fears, all of it. Other methods are meditation, tracking emotional patterns, and even listening to your dreams. But the core practice is just asking yourself these gentle questions.
What do I actually feel? Not what I should feel. And the second one, what do I know, even if I can't explain it?
That second question is the very definition of intuition. In our data-driven world, we don't like things we can't explain. We want a citation for our feelings. But the source says trust is built by listening to that inexplicable knowing, and then acting on it. You have to prove to your own intuition that you're a safe person to talk to again.
Okay, so step 1 is tuning the radio back to your own station. Step 2 is where it gets uncomfortable for a lot of us. Step 2, set boundaries without guilt.
Oh, boundaries. The buzzword of the decade. But the source has a different take.
It has this incredible line that really stuck with me. In magical terms, boundaries are protection spells in human form.
That's just a brilliant reframe. We usually think of them as walls, as barriers. It feels cold. But if you see it as a protection spell, it becomes an act of creating a sacred space for your energy. It's not about punishing someone else. It's about honoring yourself.
But there's still that conditioning to overcome. The idea that saying no is selfish or even aggressive.
It does feel that way. And the source gives a really clear picture of what this looks like in practice.
Yeah.
It looks like saying no without over-explaining.
Oh, the over-explanation trap. I can't come because my cat is sick and the traffic, and I have to be up early.
Exactly. Why do we do that?
Because we want them to say, oh, okay, that's a valid reason. We want their permission.
Right. We're asking them to validate our excuse, to tell us our reason is good enough. When you do that, you hand them your power to judge your own reasoning. You're putting yourself on trial.
Looking for a judge to acquit you.
Precisely. Reclaiming power means realizing you don't need the acquittal. I can't make it is a complete sentence. It's terrifying at first, but it preserves so much energy.
Okay, so on to step 3. This one is called the cleanse. This is where it leans a bit more into the spiritual or metaphorical, but I see a huge psychological parallel.
It starts with this premise. You can't fully reclaim your power if you're carrying energy that doesn't belong to you.
What does that actually mean, energy that doesn't belong to you? Are we talking about ghosts here?
No, not ghosts. Think about internalized criticism. That voice in your head that sounds suspiciously like a critical parent or a mean teacher, that's not your voice. It's foreign data you adopted. Or old narratives, I'm not the creative one. Or the emotional weight you carry after a friend vents to you for 2 hours.
Oh, I know that feeling. You walk away feeling heavy like you're wearing a lead vest.
That's it. That is cognitive and emotional load that isn't yours. So the source suggests actual rituals to move this. Smoke cleansing, sound cleansing, ritual baths.
Now, for the skeptics out there, what's the psychological utility here? Is it just a placebo?
Well, even if it is, the placebo effect is incredibly powerful.
Hmm.
But the benefit of a ritual is that it's a somatic marker. It signals to your brain that a transition is happening. When you take a ritual bath with the intention of washing away the day, you're engaging your body in a mental release. You're telling your whole system, we are done carrying this now.
It makes the decision to let go tangible. You're doing something. There's an affirmation in the text. I return what does not belong to me. I reclaim what is mine.
Mm.
I tried saying that out loud, and it actually felt surprisingly powerful.
It's a declaration of sovereignty. And it clears the slate for step 4. Claim your authority.
This is the big mindset shift, recognizing that you are the expert on your own life, not your parents, not your boss, not society.
And this section comes with some hard truths. The source explicitly says, not everyone will understand your choices. Not everyone will support your growth. Not everyone needs access to you.
That last part, not everyone needs access to you. That is a boundary on steroids. But isn't there a risk of ending up alone? It sounds like isolation.
It's not about isolation, it's about curation. The text says this is the moment you stop asking if your choices are valid enough, and you just start honoring what works for you. You stop seeking external validation. You stop asking, am I allowed to do this? And you start saying, this is what I am doing.
It's terrifying, though, because if you stop seeking permission, you're on the hook for the consequences. You can't blame anyone else.
You are. But you're also the sole beneficiary of the rewards. Power grows when you stop asking for permission to be yourself. It's the difference between being a child asking to leave the table and an adult deciding dinner is over.
Great analogy. Okay, last step. Step 5, intentional living.
This is all about sustainability. Power isn't a one-time thing you achieve and then you have it forever. It's a practice. And the source emphasizes consistency over perfection.
It lists things like daily grounding, choosing rituals that nourish you. And there's this line, every intentional choice is a spell. Every act of self-respect is magic.
I love that. It democratizes the idea of magic. It takes it out of some special secret room and brings it into your kitchen. It means that choosing to drink water or go to bed early or speak up in a meeting, if you do it with intention and self-respect, it's a magical act. It builds that power.
It's mindfulness, really, turning off the autopilot. The action is the same, but the energy behind it is totally different.
Exactly. Now, we have to touch on the nuance the source adds about trauma, because this all sounds great. Just claim your power.
Yeah.
But for someone with a trauma history, it is not a straight line.
Right. It can feel really unsafe to be powerful. If you learn that being visible meant getting hurt, claiming authority sounds like a threat.
And this is where the compassion comes in. The source notes that healing isn't linear. It says some days power looks like rest. Some days it looks like survival. Some days it looks like joy returning quietly.
That is so important because if you try to force this reclaiming, it just becomes another form of self-domination.
Exactly. If you're beating yourself up because you didn't set a perfect boundary, you've missed the entire point. The power that's reclaimed through healing is described as deeper and wiser. It's flexible. It breathes. It allows for bad days.
So as you're doing these things, how do you know it's working? What are the metrics if it's not about dominating a room?
The signs of success in the sorts are all internal. It's not you get a promotion. It's increased self-trust, clearer boundaries, a much, much lower need for validation.
One of them really hit me. Peace with being misunderstood. That is the gold standard right there.
It really is. Think about how much energy we burn trying to correct the record. If someone misinterprets you and you don't feel that frantic need to explain, to make them get it, you've made it.
It's a marker of alignment. Your center of gravity has shifted from the outside world back to inside yourself.
Exactly. You stop handing your self-worth over to other people for safekeeping.
So to wrap it all up, we've gone from leaking power to remembering it, protecting it, cleansing, claiming it, and living it.
And it all boils down to power being a sacred stewardship of your own life. It's not about being fearless. It's about choosing yourself even when fear is present, being the sovereign of your own soul.
And realizing you don't have to dim your own light just to make things more comfortable for everyone else.
That's it.
I want to leave everyone with the closing image from the source because it really gave me chills. It says, your power was never gone. It was waiting for you to remember. And when you do, the world shifts quietly around you.
It's not a loud bang. It's a quiet shift.
Mm.
And that's where the real magic lies.
A quiet shift. I love that. Thank you for diving deep with us. Go reclaim what's yours.
And return what isn't.
See you next time.